The race session is at Pukekohe Park Raceway in Pukekohe Park, New Zealand. John Astrup from New Zealand is first with 60 kilos on softs. Dominic Singendonk from Netherlands is P2 on softs. Martijn Mol from Netherlands is P3 with 80 kilos. Eric B from Germany is fourth with 10 kilos. David Forsyth from Ireland is P5 with 40 kilos. David Kelsall from England is P6 on supers. Brian Patterson from Scotland is 7th with 20 kilos. Robert Cormack from Mongolia is P8. Denai van Osta from Netherlands is P9 on softs. Christopher Ball from United Kingdom is 10th. Rene Robertson from England is 11th with 100 kilos. John Astrup is P1. "45 minutes remaining in the session. Race start. Dominic Singendonk is P2. John Astrup is second. Martijn Mol is now second. Eric B is P3. Rene Robertson is 6th. Van Osta is 9th. John Astrup is 11th, 0.1 behind Denai van Osta. John Astrup passed Denai van Osta for 10th. Brian Patterson is 4th, 0.5 behind Eric B. David Kelsall is P9, 0.2 behind Christopher Ball. John Astrup is P10 with 60 kilos, 0.3 behind David Kelsall. John Astrup is now P8. Brian Patterson is P4, 0.3 behind Eric B. Rene Robertson is 5th, 0.2 behind Brian Patterson. David Kelsall entering the pits is P1. Brian Patterson is P5, 0.4 behind Eric B. Rene Robertson is P6 with 100 kilos, 0.3 behind Brian Patterson. Rene Robertson is now 5th. Brian Patterson is P4, 0.4 ahead of Rene Robertson. David Kelsall exiting pits on Supers. Rene Robertson is 5th, 0.4 behind Brian Patterson. Brian Patterson from Scotland is 4th, 0.5 ahead of Rene Robertson. Rene Robertson is P5, 0.2 behind Brian Patterson. Minutes remaining in the session. Brian Patterson is 4th, 0.4 ahead of Rene Robertson. John Astrop is P8, 0.5 behind Robert Cormack. John Astrop passed Robert Cormack for P7. Rene Robertson is P5, 0.2 behind Brian Patterson. Patterson is 4th, 0.2 ahead of Rene Robertson. Rene Robertson is P5, 0.2 behind Brian Patterson. Brian Patterson is P4, 0.2 ahead of Rene Robertson. Rene Robertson is P5. Best lap is a 1:05.919. POINT 419 off the fastest lap. Brian Patterson from Scotland is 4th, 0.1 ahead of Rene Robertson. David Kelsall entering the pits is P11. Brian Patterson lost 4th to Rene Robertson. Brian Patterson lost P6 to John Astrop. Rene Robertson from England is P7 battling Brian Patterson. John Astrop is P5, 0.3 behind David Forsyth. David Forsyth is P5 with 40 kilos, 0.2 behind John Astroff. Brian Patterson is P7, 0.5 behind Rene Robertson. David Forsyth is 5th with 40 kilos, 1.0 behind John Astroff. Rene Robertson is P6, 0.5 behind David Forsyth. Brian Patterson is P7, 1.3 behind Rene Robertson. David Forsyth is P6, 0.5 behind Rene Robertson. Rene Robertson was 1.9 faster last lap. "35 minutes remaining in the session. Brian Patterson on lap 97, 0.4 behind David Forsyth. David Forsyth is 7th battling Brian Patterson. Rene Robertson is 5th, 0.9 behind John Astroff. David Forsyth from Ireland is 7th, 1.1 behind Brian Patterson. Rene Robertson is P5, 0.2 behind John Astroff. Brian Patterson is 6th, 1.7 ahead of David Forsyth. John Astroff is P5, 0.1 behind Rene Robertson. John Astroff passed Rene Robertson for P4. Rene Robertson is P5, 0.4 behind John Astroff. Brian Patterson is 6th, 1.4 behind Rene Robertson. Brian Patterson was 0.6 faster last lap. Rene Robertson is P5, 0.3 behind John Astroff. passes John Astrup for 4th. John Astrup is 7th, 0.2 behind David Forsyth. Ryan Patterson is 5th, 1.2 behind Rene Robertson. John Astrup is P7, 1.1 behind David Forsyth. Ryan Patterson is P5, 1.3 behind Rene Robertson. John Astrup is 7th softs, 0.5 behind David Forsyth. 30 minutes remaining in the session. Ryan Patterson is 5th. Best lap is a 1:05.894. POINT 521 off the fastest lap. David Forsyth is P7, 1.1 behind John Astrup. Ryan Patterson from Scotland is 5th, 1.1 behind Rene Robertson. David Forsyth is 7th, 2.1 behind John Astrup. John Astrup was 1.8 faster last lap. Ryan Patterson is P5, 1.7 behind Rene Robertson. Forsyth is 7th, 2.8 behind John Astrup. Ryan Patterson is 5th. Forsyth is P7, 3.8 behind John Asgraf.
Ryan Patterson is 5th with 20 kilos, 2.8 behind Rene Robertson. Rene Robertson was 0.8 faster last lap. Eric B is P3 with 10 kilos, 4.8 behind Martijn Mol. Ryan Patterson is P5, 2.8 behind Rene Robertson. Denai van Osta is 10th, 2.2 behind Christopher Ball. 25 minutes remaining in the session. Ryan Patterson from Scotland is 5th, 3.3 behind Rene Robertson. Eric B is P3, 3.9 behind Martijn Mol. Ryan Patterson is P5, 4.4 behind Rene Robertson. Eric B on lap 20 is P3. Denai van Osta from Netherlands is P10. Rene Robertson entering the pits is 4th. Rene Robertson is 4th. John Asgraf on lap 20 is P6. John Asgraf passed Rene Robertson for 5th. Rene Robertson is P7. Denai van Osta entering the pits is P10. Rene Robertson exiting pits. Robert Cormack is P8, 1.4 behind Rene Robertson. Eric B entering the pits is P3. Denai Van Osta exiting pits on softs. Brian Patterson entering the pits is 4th. Brian Patterson from Scotland is 5th. Denai Van Osta from Netherlands is P10. Eric B is 5th. Eric B exiting pits. Robert Cormack entering the pits is 8th. Brian Patterson exiting pits. Dominic Sinjendonk entering the pits is P1. Rene Robertson is P6, 0.4 behind Eric B. Martij Mol entering the pits is 2nd. Eric B is P6 battling Rene Robertson. Christopher Ball entering the pits is 9th. Eric B passed Rene Robertson for P5. Robert Cormack exiting pits. David Forsyth entering the pits is 4th. Rene Robertson is P6. Dominic Sinjendonk exiting pits on softs. 20 minutes remaining in the session. Martij Mol exiting pits. Robertson is now 5th. Christopher Ball is P9. Christopher Ball exiting pits. David Forsyth exiting pits. Is P6 with 100 kilos, 0.5 behind Brian Patterson. John Astrup entering the pits is P1. Christopher Ball is P9. Best lap is a 1:09.991. 4.618 off the fastest lap. John Astrup exiting pits on softs. Rene Robertson from England is P6, 0.3 behind Brian Patterson. John Astrup is 4th on softs, 2.2 behind Eric B. Brian Patterson is 6th, 0.4 behind Rene Robertson. Denai Van Osta entering the pits is P10. John Astrup is P4, 2.0 behind Eric B. Brian Patterson is P6 with 20 kilos, 0.2 behind Rene Robertson. John Astrup is P4, 1.2 behind Eric B. Eric B was 1.3 faster last lap. Patterson is P6, 0.5 behind Rene Robertson. John Astrup is P4 on softs, 0.8 behind Eric B. Ryan Patterson is P6, 1.1 behind Rene Robertson. John Astrup is 4th. Christopher Ball entering the pits is 9. 15 minutes remaining in the session. Christopher Ball is 9. Denai Van Osta exiting pits on softs. Rene Robertson is 5th, 1.0 ahead of Brian Patterson. John Astrup is 4th, 0.7 behind Eric B. Christopher Ball exiting pits. Brian Patterson is P6, 1.6 behind Rene Robertson. Rene Robertson was 0.8 faster last lap. John Astrup is P4, 1.0 behind Eric B. Patterson is P6, 3.3 behind Rene Robertson. John Astrup is P4, 0.4 behind Eric B. Brian Patterson is P6 with 20 kilos, 3.4 behind Rene Robertson. John Astrup is P4. Brian Patterson is P6, 4.0 behind Rene Robertson. Rene Robertson was 0.7 faster last lap. John Astrup is 4th. Best lap is a 1:05.624. POINT 251 off the fastest lap. Brian Patterson on lap 30 is 6th, 4.3 behind Rene Robertson. John Astrup is 4th. Brian Patterson on lap 31 is P6, 4.2 behind Rene Robertson. John Astrup is P4, 0.5 behind Eric B. 10 minutes remaining in the session. Patterson is P6. John Astrup on lap 32 is 4th, 0.3 behind Eric B. Rene Robertson is P5, 3.3 behind John Astrup. John Astrup is P4, 0.4 behind Eric B. Patterson is 6th, 3.7 behind Rene Robertson. John Astrup is 4th, 0.5 behind Eric B. Brian Patterson on lap 33 is P6, 4.0 behind Rene Robertson. John Astrup is P4 on softs, 0.4 behind Eric B. Brian Patterson is P6. John Astrup is P4, 0.3 behind Eric B. Brian Patterson is P6 with 20 kilos, 4.4 behind Rene Robertson. John Astrop is 4th with 60 kilos, 0.1 behind Eric B. Rene Robertson is P5, 3.1 behind John Astrop. John Astrop is 4th with 60 kilos, 0.4 behind Eric B. Remaining in the session. Rene Robertson from England is P5, 2.8 behind John Astrop. Rene Robertson was 1.1 faster last lap. John Astrop is 4th. Rene Robertson is 5th, 3.0 behind John Astrop. John Astrop is 4th, 0.3 behind Eric B. Rene Robertson from England is P5, 2.9 behind John Astrop. John Astrop on lap 37 is P4, 0.4 behind Eric B. Eric B is P4 battling John Astrop. John Astrop was 0.6 faster last lap. Rene Robertson from England is P5, 3.2 behind Eric B. Eric B is P4, 0.3 behind John Astrop. Eric B lost P4 to Rene Robertson. Brian Patterson is 6th. Eric B is P5. Best lap is a 1:05.856. POINT 483 off the fastest lap. Patterson is P6. On lap 40 is 5th, 2.0 ahead of Brian Patterson. Brian Patterson on lap 40 is 6th, 1.6 behind Eric B. Rene Robertson is 4th, 3.3 behind John Astrup. Brian Patterson is P6, 1.1 behind Eric B. Rene Robertson is P4, 2.5 behind John Astrup. Brian Patterson is 6th with 20 kilos, 1.1 behind Eric B. John Astrup is 4th with 60 kilos, 0.4 behind Rene Robertson. Has just finished the race. Dominic Sinjandong finished first. Martijn Mol finished second. Denai van Osta finished 10th. Rene Robertson finished P3. Eric B finished 4th. Brian Patterson finished 5th. David Forsyth passed John Astrup for 6th. David Forsyth finished P6. Ball finished P9. John Astrup finished P7. Robert Cormack finished P8. The race session is at Pukekohe Park Raceway in Pukekohe Park, New Zealand. Rene van Oosten from Netherlands is first on softs. Christopher Ball from United Kingdom is second. Robert Cormack from Mongolia is third. John Astrop from New Zealand is fourth with 60 kilos on softs. David Forsyth from Ireland is P5 with 40 kilos. Brian Patterson from Scotland is P6 with 20 kilos. Eric B from Germany is 7th with 10 kilos. Rene Robertson from England is 8th with 100 kilos. Martijn Mol from Netherlands is P9 with 80 kilos. Dominic Singendonk from Netherlands is 10th on softs. David Kelsall from England is P11 on supers. Rene van Oosten is first. "45 minutes remaining in the session. Race start. Christopher Ball is second. Christopher Ball is now P1. John Astrop is P2. John Astrop passed Christopher Ball for first. Is eighth. Eric B is 9. Dominic Singendonk is P6. Martijn Mol is P7. Brian Patterson is P8. Dominic Singendonk is P9, 0.1 behind Brian Patterson. David Forsyth is 9, 0.3 behind Dominic Singendonk. David Forsyth passed Rene van Oosten for P7. David Kelsall is P6, 0.5 behind Brian Patterson. Rene Robertson is second, 0.3 behind John Astrop. Lap 2 is 6th, 0.5 behind Brian Patterson. Denai Van Osta on lap 3 is 9, 0.4 behind Robert Cormack. Rene Robertson is P2, 0.3 behind John Astrup. Rene Robertson was 0.6 faster last lap. John Astrup is second, 0.3 behind Rene Robertson. David Kelsall is P6 on Supers, 0.5 behind Brian Patterson. Brian Patterson was 0.8 faster last lap. Dominic Singendonk is 10, 0.8 behind Denai Van Osten. Dominic Singendonk passed Denai Van Osten for P9. David Kelsall is 6, 0.5 behind Brian Patterson. Remaining in the session. Eric B is P4, 0.5 behind Martin Jamol. David Kelsall is 6, 0.5 behind Brian Patterson. Dominic Singendonk from Netherlands is 9, 0.4 behind Robert Cormack. Dominic Singendonk passed Robert Cormack for 8. David Kelsall is 6th on Supers, 0.9 behind Brian Patterson. David Forsyth is P7, 0.6 behind David Kelsall. John Astrup is P2 on softs, 1.2 behind Rene Robertson. David Forsyth is 7th. Brian Patterson is 5th, 0.5 behind Eric B. Brian Patterson passed Eric B for P4. David Forsyth from Ireland is 7th, 0.4 behind David Kelsall. Mardij Mol is P3, 0.9 behind John Astrup. David Forsyth is 7th, 0.5 behind David Kelsall. Mardij Mol is 3rd, 1.1 behind John Astrup. Sinjandon is 8th, 0.6 behind David Kelsall. Mardij Mol on lap 9 is 3rd, 0.6 behind John Astrup. 35 minutes remaining in the session. David Kelsall is P8 on Supers, 0.7 behind Dominic Sinjandon. Mardij Mol from Netherlands is P3, 0.5 behind John Astrup. Dominic Sinjandon is P7 on softs, 0.5 behind David Forsyth. Mardij Mol from Netherlands is 3rd, 0.2 behind John Astrup. David Forsyth is P7, 1.0 behind Dominic Sinjandon. Mardij Mol on lap 11 is P3, 0.5 behind John Astrup. Forsyth is 7th with 40 kilos, 1.9 behind Dominic Sinjandon. Mardij Mol from Netherlands is P3, 0.2 behind John Astrup. Mardij Mol lost 3rd to Brian Patterson. Dominic Sinjandon is 6th, 1.5 behind Mardij Mol. Dominic Sinjandon passed Mardij Mol for 5th. Mardage Mold is 6th, 1.0 behind Dominic Sinjandon. Dominic Sinjandon is 5th, 0.5 behind Eric B. Mardage Mold is P6, 1.6 behind Dominic Sinjandon. Dominic Sinjandon is P5, 0.4 behind Eric B. Mardage Mold is 6th, 1.3 behind Dominic Sinjandon. 30 minutes remaining in the session. Dominic Sinjandon is P5, 0.4 behind Eric B. Is 6th, 2.4 ahead of David Forsyth. Dominic Sinjandon is P5, 0.3 behind Eric B. Mardage Mold is 6th, 2.3 behind Dominic Sinjandon. Eric B on lap 15 is 5th, 0.4 behind Dominic Sinjandon. Mardage Mold is 6th, 2.2 behind Eric B. Mardage Mold passed Eric B for 5th. David Forsyth is P7, 1.2 behind Eric B. Eric B is 6th with 10 kilos, 2.4 behind Mardage Mol. Mardage Mol was 4.3 faster last lap. David Forsyth is P7 with 40 kilos, 2.5 behind Eric B. Mardage Mole is P5, 3.1 ahead of Eric B.
Eric B is P6, 2.9 behind Mardage Mol. Mardage Mole was 0.9 faster last lap. Mardage Mole from Netherlands is P5, 2.4 ahead of Eric B. Denai van Osta entering the pits is P10. Christopher Ball entering the pits is 11. Eric B is P6, 2.7 behind Mardage Mole. 25 minutes remaining in the session. Brian Patterson on lap 18 is 4th, 0.3 behind Dominic Sinjendon. Christopher Ball exiting pits. Denai van Osta exiting pits on softs. Eric B is P6, 2.2 behind Mardage Mole. Brian Patterson is 4th, 1.1 behind Dominic Sinjendon. Robert Cormack entering the pits is 9. Mardage Mole is 5th with 80 kilos, 2.2 behind Brian Patterson. Dominic Sinjendonk is 4th, 0.2 behind Brian Patterson. Dominic Sinjendonk entering the pits is P4. Robert Cormack exiting pits. Rene Robertson is P1. Best lap is a 1:05.325. Denai van Osta exiting pits on softs. Dominic Sinjendonk on lap 19 is P7, 3.8 ahead of David Kelsall. Dominic Sinjendonk was 3.5 faster last lap. Dominic Sinjendonk exiting pits on softs. Dominic Sinjendonk lost P7 to David Kelsall. Rene Robertson entering the pits is 1st. Christopher Ball entering the pits is 10th. Mardage Mole is 4th, 2.9 ahead of Eric B. Mardage Mole entering the pits is 4th. Eric B entering the pits is 5th. Dominic Sinjendonk is P8, 0.5 behind David Kelsall. David Kelsall was 32.0 faster last lap. Rene Robertson exiting pits. David Kelsall is P8, 0.1 behind Dominic Sinjendonk. Denai van Osta entering the pits is P11. Christopher Ball exiting pits. David Kelsall entering the pits is 8th.
Mardij Mol exiting pits. Denai van Osta is P11. Robert Cormack is P9. John Astrop entering the pits is first. Eric B exiting pits. John Astrop is first. Rene Robertson on lap 21 is P3, 1.3 ahead of David Forsyth. Denai van Osta exiting pits on softs. David Forsyth entering the pits is fourth. David Forsyth is fourth. John Astrop exiting pits. John Astrop is third with 60 kilos, 4.2 behind Rene Robertson. David Forsyth is P6, 0.1 behind Mardij Mol. David Forsyth exiting pits. "20 minutes remaining in the session. Mardij Mol is P5, 1.8 behind Dominic Sinjendon. Ryan Patterson entering the pits is P1. Christopher Ball is P10. Ryan Patterson exiting pits. Christopher Ball is now P9. Mardij Mol on lap 23 is P5, 2.2 behind Dominic Sinjendon. Dominic Sinjendon is fourth. Best lap is a 1:05.428. POINT 1:03 off the fastest lap. Mardij Mol is fifth, 2.3 behind Dominic Sinjendon. Denai van Osta exiting pits. Dominic Sinjendon is P4, 2.5 ahead of Mardij Mol. Mardij Mol from Netherlands is P5, 2.9 behind Dominic Sinjendon. Dominic Sinjendon is fourth, 2.6 ahead of Mardij Mol. Mardij Mol is P5. Best lap is a 1:05.631. point 306 off the fastest lap. Dominic Sinjendonk on lap 25 is fourth, 2.6 ahead of Martijn Mol. Christopher Ball entering the pits is P9. Martijn Mol is fifth, 3.2 behind Dominic Sinjendonk. Dominic Sinjendonk is P4, 2.9 ahead of Martijn Mol. Minutes remaining in the session. Christopher Ball exiting pits. Martijn Mol is fifth, 3.4 behind Dominic Sinjendonk. Dominic Sinjendonk on lap 27 is fourth, 3.2 behind Brian Patterson. David Forsyth is P6, 1.1 behind Martijn Mol. Martijn Mol is P6 battling David Forsyth. Martijn Mol entering the pits is sixth. Christopher Ball is P10. Dominic Sinjendonk is P4, 3.2 behind Brian Patterson. Martijn Mol exiting pits. Robert Cormack is P7. Brian Patterson is third with 20 kilos, 3.4 ahead of Dominic Sinjendonk. Brian Patterson lost third to Dominic Sinjendonk. Robert Cormack is seventh. Brian Patterson is 4th, 0.3 behind Dominic Singendonk. Christopher Ball entering the pits is 10th. Martijn Mol is P6. Brian Patterson on lap 30 is 4th, 0.5 behind Dominic Singendonk. Dominic Singendonk was 3.6 faster last lap. Robert Cormack is 7th. Brian Patterson is P4, 0.4 behind Dominic Singendonk. 10 minutes remaining in the session. John Astroff is 2nd. Christopher Ball exiting pits. Brian Patterson is 4th. Martijn Mol is P6. Dominic Singendonk is P4, 1.0 behind Brian Patterson. Denai van Osta is 8th. Dominic Singendonk is 4th, 0.7 behind Brian Patterson. Brian Patterson is P3. Best lap is a 1:05.561. POINT236 off the fastest lap. Dominic Singendonk is P4, 0.5 behind Brian Patterson. Martijn Mol is P6. Robert Cormack is P7. Dominic Singendonk is 4th, 1.3 behind Brian Patterson. Brian Patterson from Scotland is 4th, battling Dominic Singendonk. Dominic Singendonk is 3rd, 4.1 ahead of Brian Patterson. Brian Patterson was 0.5 faster last lap. 5 minutes remaining in the session. Brian Patterson is 4th. Rene Robertson is 1st. Brian Patterson is 4th, 3.5 behind Dominic Singendonk. Dominic Singendonk was 6.1 faster last lap. Denai Van Oster is 8th. Best lap is a 1:07.131. 1.806 off the fastest lap. Is P6. Denai Van Osten on lap 32 is P8. Martijn Mol entering the pits is 6th. David Forsyth is 5th. Martijn Mol exiting pits on Supers. John Astrup is 2nd. Best lap is a 1:05.757. POINT 432 off the fastest lap. Robert Cormack from Mongolia is 7th. Ryan Patterson is P4. Ball is 9. Ryan Patterson is 4th, 5.0 behind Dominic Sinjendonk. Rene Robertson is 1st. Ryan Patterson is 4th on softs, 4.9 behind Dominic Sinjendonk. Christopher Ball is P9. John Astrup is P2, 4.4 behind Rene Robertson. The leader has just finished the race. Rene Robertson finished 1st. Robert Cormack finished 7th. John Astrup finished P2. Dominic Sinjendonk finished P3. Ryan Patterson finished 4th. Martijn Mol finished 6th. Denai van Osta finished P8. Christopher Ball finished P9. David Forsyth finished 5th.